Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my birth story. It's kind of long but kind of not. I guess it's just like any other birth story. So I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, please don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe. So I'm in his room currently. I've hidden his name thing that right there because I haven't done his name reveal yet. I think I said it on my last video that I haven't announced his name on YouTube, or the people that don't follow me on Facebook or Instagram, they don't know his name, so I'm still going to be doing that. This is a part of his room. I'm filming in his room. My computer's in his room still, so let's get into the birth story. So a week before he came, I was getting a lot of contractions, very, very irregular, probably like once every hour, and they weren't painful. They were just really annoying and very tightening on your belly, on my belly. So I was getting those for about a week before he came, and they just were heaps irregular, and they sort of got closer as the week went on, but I didn't really think much of it because I was just like, I thought they were Braxton Hicks. So fast forward a week, I was always at the hospital. I had to go every week because I had hypertension blood pressure, which could lead to preeclampsia, so I was there every single week. And because he was breech and because I had hypertension blood pressure, that's such a weird word, like thing to say. Anyway, I was going to have a planned C-section. So on the 2nd of April, we slept at my mum's house the night before we went to the hospital because that was it's right near my mum's house and we're planning the C-section. So the night before we went there, went to the hospital that morning. We got up really early. I think it was like 7 o'clock and had to be there at like 8 o'clock or something. So we got called in and they do the normal procedure checks. They checked me and my blood pressure was still 150 over something, which was okay for me. I was taking tablets for my blood pressure, so that was all right for me. Then she went to feel my belly, and because he's always been breech, she couldn't exactly feel what position he is in. Fun fact, no midwife or nurse could ever feel what position he was in. So the only way they could figure out what position he was in was from a scan. So the doctor went out and got a scanning machine thing and brought that in, and we scanned where he was, and his bum was basically in my pelvis, and his head was right up on my rib, and his legs were over this side. So in that doctor's appointment, we did all that, and then I told her that I did have some contractions basically every hour, if not 2 every hour for the past week, and it was getting more intense. And she told me that it was normal and it was probably gonna happen. So I was like, okay. And I did also tell her, TMI by the way, I lost my mucus plug twice that week, and she also said that was normal, so I didn't think of anything of it. I was getting some pains off and on throughout that day, but I thought it was just me being hungry because we got there really early and didn't leave till like midday, so me and Josh were starving, so I thought that was the reason why I was getting pains. So after all that, we scheduled the C-section for the 12th of April, and that was when he was going to be coming. So we left, we organised all that obviously first, and then we left. We got to mum's house. I was still getting the pains off and on, you know, just how it happens. And I started getting like closer pains, and I didn't know what they were because I had them before, but they never had this, like, they were never that close. They were probably like 15 minutes. So I decided to just take some Panadol because I thought it was just normal ligament pains or anything or something. So I took some Panadol. Obviously it didn't work. I was hungry, so we're making food at the same time. So we made food, and I felt a little gush through my underwear, and I was like, what the heck? So I went to the toilet, and there was like a cloudy substance, like a liquid that came out, and I was like, oh, this is weird, I've never had this before. So my mum said to call the midwife, so we called one of the midwives at the hospital that we're going to deliver at, and she said it could be your water but might not be, could just be normal discharge. So she said to come in so we can check for fluids, but it wasn't a rush because it was only so little. So me and Josh were just happily eating, everyone, Mum, Harry, all that, we're just eating, and we're getting ready to go. I was still getting those pains, we're just getting ready to leave to go to the hospital. And I was getting the pains probably like every 10 minutes then, and I was a bit worried. I was like, why am I getting so many pains now? And I just kept on telling Mum, I was like, Mum, they're just getting closer and they're hurting more. And she didn't really know what to do. She was she wasn't confused. She was like figuring out what was happening. So we're getting ready to leave out the door, and then literally as we were standing at the door, my water broke. And if you've seen my birth video, as soon as my water broke, everybody got their phones out and Brooklyn got my camera and everyone started recording right away, because it was coming out real fast. Like it was like a bang, like instantly just come out. And I was laughing because I was in shock, and every time I was laughing, more was coming out. And I started freaking out, and so did Josh. Like, Josh has really bad anxiety, so he was freaking out, and everyone else was so excited. Obviously, we were excited, but we were just so scared as well, because we were expecting to have our baby in, like, 11 days, not that day. So, yeah, fast forward to that. My water broke, and everyone was freaking out. So obviously, we were at Mum's house, we weren't at our house, but I had an instinct in my body, in my everything, just to bring stuff just in case. So luckily, me and Josh, we bring my hospital bag and the baby's hospital bag and his bag, just in case. And luckily that happened because he wanted to come. So luckily we had all that stuff. So I was getting ready, and obviously my water just broke, and I've got all my clothes on and all that. So I'm freaking out. I have to put a pad on, obviously, and I didn't bring any like massive underwear. We were going to get that like the next day, you know, like postpartum underwear and all that stuff. So I didn't get any of those stuff until I was going to get it the next day. So I had like G-strings and stuff, what I usually wear, and that's all I had. So I had to use some of Brooklyn's underwear. It was all new, by the way, and I had to use massive pads just to hold the like water in, but it just kept on coming out really fast. So I was obviously in the shower, washing myself off. And yeah, so about after 20 minutes of just sorting everything out, Mum telling everyone, not everyone, but just the people that needed to know, and me telling Dad and stuff, we got into the car and was getting ready to leave, and we're driving to the hospital, and I was getting the contractions probably, I would say, every 7 minutes at that point, and that was really painful. They were getting to the point where I couldn't breathe, but they were bearable. Like, I could breathe through them. They weren't like terrible. So we get to the hospital, and I didn't take my maternity photos before this. I know, I'm really devastated about that. So we took some while I was walking through the parking lot. You would have seen them as well if you watched my birth video. So that was really funny to do. So I'm walking to the hospital. We get to the emergency part, wherever you go, and we're waiting because the lady's on the phone, and I'm just like standing there having contractions while my water's still leaking, and Josh is standing there, and Mum's still standing there, and I just want this lady to hurry up because I'm in pain, and I just wanted to like be admitted because I was in pain, and I just wanted to get everything over and done with. So we go into the room. They take us to the room. It was getting freshly cleaned or something for me because we called in advance, obviously. And so it was all getting ready for me anyways. And then we go into the room, and my water's still leaking, by the way. So she tells me to lay down, which I did not want to lay down at all. I wanted to be up and standing and doing other stuff. Like, laying down made it so much worse. So she put my drip in, and that was painful, like really freaking painful. I don't like drips at all. They really hurt because I had to put it like right here, and I did not like that at all. But anyway, she checked how far dilated I was. Not that it really mattered because I wasn't giving birth like that way anyways. But I was 1 centimeter dilated, but my cervix was really thin. She said it was like, she was kind of shocked. She was like, it's really thin. Like she was like taken away by it. I was like, oh, okay. Don't know what that means, but sure. I may have to feed him. At that point, another nurse came in, and the one that put my drip in, she had to leave, and I asked where Josh would be sleeping, and they told us that Josh wouldn't be able to stay there. At that point, I didn't know that that was a thing that they do, like, at that hospital. I was so angry, and like, I was already freaking out about staying there. And of course they said that he couldn't stay there, so I was so angry. By the way, I'm never going back to this doctor's ever because of other, like, that reason and other reasons, but never going back there because of that. So Josh is freaking out even more now because he can't stay with me overnight. So after about, I would say about an hour of sitting in that first room, we're just talking and organizing stuff and telling people that needed to know. Oh my God. I've cried about it, I think like 10 times, and luckily Mum and Josh were there because, oh my God, I was so scared. So after about an hour of staying there in that first room, I vaguely remember this. I don't really remember much of it, but I remember them putting me in a wheelchair. Okay, so I'm gonna feed him at the same time while I'm telling my story. So after about an hour of sitting there in that room, they put me in a wheelchair and took me up to the next room. This room was the room before the C-section, which I thought I was going right to the C-section, but obviously not. So this is the room they prep you in. So they get all the documents ready and all that stuff. At this point, Josh's mum was on the train coming to us, and she lived about an hour away. So they prep us, all the obstetricians and the doctors and stuff like that. They come in, you know, I don't really know who came in. I just kind of know a little bit about who came in, like the obstetrician, the doctor who was cutting me open and getting him out came and introduced herself and showed me the doctor that's going to be with her. So that was nice to know who that was going to be. But anyways, so Mum and Josh are with me in that room, and I'm getting still contractions while everyone's sorting stuff out. And then Josh's mum gets there, so Josh is feeling a little bit more relieved now because he starts having an anxiety attack. About, I think we're in there for 30 to 45 minutes. And then everyone just come in and said, all right, you ready to go? So that was really funny, like, not funny, but that was like really scary for me. Oops. That was really scary for me when he said that. So we got separated from Mum and Josh's mum, obviously, because they couldn't come in the room with us. So we're walking through the labour and delivery, I think that was what it was called, the labour and delivery ward, and we are going through the doors, and then we get to the room before the C-section room, and Josh starts having an even more panic attack, and he says that he can't stay in with me, and he says that he needs to go get my mum, and I go, no you don't, you're staying. And luckily one of the really nicest obstetricians that I've ever met before, he, like I've met a lot, he was calming Josh down a lot. He was so nice. He said, no, you're gonna stay here, you're gonna witness the birth of your child and all this stuff. So we ended up, I was mid-contraction while he was doing this, and I just was like, no, you're coming in with me whether you like it or not. Like, I need you, mother fricker. Mum can't be getting no scrubs in 2 seconds. So he's calming him down. We walk into the C-section room. I don't even want to see my surroundings. Don't even want to see the surroundings because I'm scared. So I don't even look. It was really weird. Josh had to be put over to another section, not into a different room, but like kind of away from me because they had like all the tools and they were sterilizing them or whatever. And then they had to transfer me from one bed to the operating table. That sounds weird to say. Anyways, so, oh, that was fast. So they lifted me onto the operating room. So they lifted me onto the operating table, and they kind of didn't, they like lifted me up so I was sitting, and they said that they were going to start doing the spinal block. So they were doing the spinal block, and that was just intense. Like the needle before the obviously spinal block, so I don't feel anything, was just like a little pinch. I nudged though, like when he put it in my back, I kind of jolted, and he was like, oh, don't do that. And I was like, am I gonna die? Am I gonna freaking like have no spine or something because I did that? But anyway, so yeah, after the spinal, my legs started going numb, and it just was the weirdest feeling ever. Like everything was tingling, and oh my god, it was just weird. So one of the guys was like with the piece of ice testing if I could feel anything, and after about 10 minutes I couldn't feel anything, like from my under my boobs down. And about, I would say After 15 minutes of me laying on that table, of like talking to the nurses and just like trying to calm myself down because I cried a lot while during that. I would say about 15 minutes after that, he came into this world and they said to me, here he is. And I was like, what? I was like, didn't expect him to come out that fast. And he was tiny when he came out and he was purple, but he wasn't breathing that well. He was very alert and all that, so I wasn't worried, but they said that they needed to help him breathe. So they helped him breathe, but he was so small, and basically he was on that, they would like check him and cleaning him off. They did that for like maybe 3 minutes, if that, because I asked if I could do skin to skin with him as soon as like they cleaned him and checked him, everything was fine. So yeah, I got to do skin to skin with him until the operation was finished. Yeah. And then after the operation was finished, that took about another 45 minutes, I think it was. That took about, that was a big burp. So after that, after he was out, probably took him another 25 minutes to stitch me back up and make sure everything was fine. And I was still laying down, getting ready to leave, and one of the doctors said that I was fine to have a natural birth next time. Everything went perfect. So that was cool. So then after that, we went to the recovery room where me and Josh actually fully got to hold him and all that stuff. And the nurses there in the recovery room helped me breastfeed, like just helped me learn how to breastfeed. And Josh got his first like proper holds and cuddles. And they were just making sure I was okay, making sure that I didn't need anything, just like making sure I think the recovery room is so you don't go into like anaphylactic shock or stuff like that. They were just checking all that. So after the recovery room, we were getting wheeled away and we met Josh's mum and my mum halfway up there into our normal room. So we got to the normal room where you stay, obviously, however long you stay for. That is my birth story. It's a pretty interesting birth story, if I'm honest. Like, it was a C-section, and I don't see a lot of C-section birth stories. Not that I've seen a lot anyways, but so yeah. So he's 6 weeks old, by the way, now, everybody. I don't want him to be 6 weeks old, but he is. Well, I have to go change his nappy now because I just fed and burped him. So thank you so much for watching this video. Oh my Jesus. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you leave. And we'll see you in that next video. Bye.
You've been spending